I'm pretty excited about the projects that I'm going to be showing you today. I have been asked to work with a group of girls in our community with setting goals and reaching goals, and I'm just really excited about it. And so as a kickoff event in just a few days, we are doing a summer fun Hawaiian themed event so that we can get to know each other and have some fun and talk about setting goals and how we're going to do this and make some plans for some upcoming things. And so I have created an invitation, and I went ahead and created just the basic invitation in a Word document. And so I'm going to show you here, and I've blocked out sensitive information, but I'm not going to go into detail about how I created the Word document because so many of you have created Word documents for so many years. I didn't feel like that was something that I needed to do. But just as a quick overview, I grabbed the graphics off of Google Images and I just used Word and picked my font and my colors and everything. But to make it more fun and to kind of add that extra flair to level it up, I went ahead and just attached it to a pretty piece of cardstock that was lively and bright to bring that tropical Hawaiian theme. But I want to show you what I'm doing to make it even more fun, because this is flat. We need to take it up a notch. And that's one of the things I really enjoy doing, is taking something just kind of normal like this and taking it up a notch. So before I add to it a little bit of a three-dimensional look to it, I went through and on this line, I used a little bit of I guess you'd call it calligraphy, and wrote each of the girls' names here. And then I actually hand delivered the invitations that I could. And so just to add the 3D effect, I'm using my Misty stamping tool, and I had 13 of these to deliver. And so I'm mass producing these. And so I'm showing you how to do one, and then I'm actually doing 13. And so I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about this. And so I want to create a 3D flower that I can then attach to that invitation. Now, I want to make it fun and I want to step it up a notch, but I also don't want to drive myself crazy. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and position my flower, and then I'm going to pick this up on my Misty stamping tool. Let's get my magnet down there to hold it down. And I'm just going to use a light, let me get this over into camera. I'm going to use a light gray because I'm getting my color not so much from the stamp, but from the cardstock that I'm using. And this is light, and that's fine. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Just going to place it down, pick it up, and you'll see there's a little bit of an outline of that gray, but that's okay because this is stamping in the same spot that I just picked it up. So that's fine. So that I've got two of that image. I don't know if you can tell, but I've used that little flower stamp quite a few times. Okay, and this set is from American Crafts. I'm looking to see if there's a name. Tropical. It's just called the Tropical Stamp Set. The little mini ink cubes I'm using are from Lawn Fawn. Okay, and that's it. That's all we're using that Misty stamp tool for. And just imagine I'm using that to actually go through and stamp multiples over and over again because I've got so many to do. All right, so once I've got those, then I'm going to put on my favorite movie, and I think what I want to do is layer them. I'm going to put, looking at this, I'm going to put my yellow in the back, and so I'm going to do not too fussy of a cut. I'm just going to do a rough cut, and I'm cutting off the little stamen of the flower there. And I'm going to just cut out that background. Now, to do several of these, I would actually stack them and cut them. And what would be even better is if I had a die and could run this through my Big Shot, my Sizex Big Shot. But I don't have a die for this. And I looked and could not find one. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just that I couldn't find it. So when I cut this second one, though, I am going to make sure I don't cut off that, I think it's called the stamen. I get the pistil and the stamen mixed up. I probably should have looked that up. A good teacher would have done that. And I love being a teacher. But here we are in the middle of it, and I haven't looked it up. Okay, so that I've got two like that. Now what I'm going to do is just slightly offset them, and they're going to go on here. But I don't want it to sit flat. So as I come down through, I'm going to just do the quick cut between petals like this. And this stamp set actually has separate petals, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it quick, and I'm going to bend these up. I could even use a pencil. I could curl those. I'm going to do the same things with this, but this time I'm going to maybe even follow the curve of those petals just a little better. And I am going to go down right by the side of that so that even that can kind of stand up and sit a little bit separately like that. Okay, bend them up, and then I'm going to offset a little bit, and then that is going to sit in there. So before I proceed, I want to add a little bling, of course. And so I'm going to add some of these rhinestones. Now you've seen me use these many times, and I'm going to put these little rhinestones. I'm going to see if I can do them with my fingers. I might have to use my tweezers. Let's see. Oh, I think my fingers are working. And I'm going to use the smallest of the little rhinestones, and I will link something as close to these as I can find in the description below. And let's see how many I can get there. I think I'll go with 3. Let me show you. Let's see if I can show you what I'm doing there. So I'm going to just put 3 there to add that little bit of bling, a little bit of tropical fun. And then I'm going to use my fingers and just kind of bend those in a little. Do the same with this. Get a little bit of texture and 3D effect going on that. Okay, so I'm going to use my tape runner, and I'm just going to put a little bit right in the middle of that yellow flower. There, it took a minute to get that down. And then I'm going to offset the orange one so that I can see the yellow behind it, and just put those together, and then just go through and kind of fiddle with the petals a little bit to give myself a 3D layered flower effect. And then I'm going to use my sticky strips and take a piece of one and put that in the center of that, and take off that backing. And then I'm going to put it right over this flower right here and push it down. Okay, there's not much to that, but that one little detail takes a flat invitation and all of a sudden gives it a little bit of something more, a little bit of pizzazz, and then you have that little bit of added bling, and all of a sudden a simple invitation is something a little bit more. And so those are the invitations for our special event. So let's move on to a couple of other things to take this event just up a notch. Now, one of the things I'd like to do with the girls that I'm working with in our community with their goals and everything, as they write down their goals, we're going to have little booklets. But one of the things that I think would be fun would be to have little stickers or things that they can do as they achieve goals. And so for this first day, when we're doing this sort of Hawaiian summer theme, I thought it would be fun as they complete the things that we have them do for this first event, that it would be fun to have a Hawaiian sticker that they can put in their books. I looked and looked and I could not find Hawaiian stickers. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do about that? And one of the things I would like to do is actually have them make stickers, but not at this first event. We have other things that we need to do as part of our Get to Know You. And so I actually looked around and found, of all things, this table scatter for a Pioneer Woman party. And so I want to show you what this looks like. And it has these flowers. And it has dogs and round circles and other weird things. But I thought these flowers were real pretty and would work for a Hawaiian theme. So one of the things I want to kind of say with this particular little part right now is to be creative and maybe look at things a little differently. You don't have to have everything be exactly perfect. You can be creative in what you're doing. And so I looked at several different ways to turn these into stickers. And I actually needed it to be pretty quick and easy. And these wouldn't fit into my Xyron sticker maker that I've talked about in past videos. And I looked at the Avery Sticker Project paper, and this is if you're maybe creating stickers with your Cricut sticker maker, or even you're creating stickers in a Word document or something. But what I do like about this is this background sticker sheet. So when you take your sticker off, this is the paper that's on the back that you usually throw away. And so what I figured out is if I just use a tape runner on these, I can actually stick these on the back of this, on this backing sheet, and I've created a sticker. So I did one here. Now I tried sticking it onto butcher paper, all kinds of different paper, and it just stuck. But on this, look, it peels right off just like it would a sticker. Now I know I could have the girls each use the tape runner and stick it to their book, but that's not as fun. Everybody likes stickers, and there's something satisfying about just peeling a sticker off. So what I'm going to do now, I'm looking at the flowers, I'm turning them different directions, and I'm just going to go through and actually stick them onto this paper that I normally would throw away. And I'm looking, and one side of the flower has writing. That's not very pretty. So that's the side I'm using with my tape runner. And I'm just going to go through. And on the yellow ones, it looks like there is no writing on those. The writing is only on the pink. So I'm going to go through and create my stickers by just flat out sticking those things onto there. And even these where, you know, you can... They've got they put a slit in those so that you can easily peel it away. That's perfectly fine. When I cut those apart, then I will have stickers for all of the girls, and they can just easily peel that sticker off. And when they have completed all of the tasks that they need to do for our first meeting, then they can take the sticker off and put it in their book and show that they have finished all of our Get to Know You activities. So there is a creative way to come up with stickers when you can't find them at the store. Okay, for the next project that we're doing for our special summer event for girls, I have a block of wood that I've sanded, and because this is a Hawaiian theme, and I just feel like wood is it just feels very Hawaiian to me. I've left it just in the wood tone, and I'm actually thinking of using this at various times throughout the year as a simple decor piece that I can reuse depending on the theme that we're doing for that particular time. And so we're going to do an Aloha simple decor here, but I'm keeping it in that wood tone. And then I can paint it if I'd like to. I can sand it, sand paint off, just use it in all kinds of ways, but I like it that it's just simple like that. And so I've done a hibiscus design that I created in Cricut Design Space, and I'm just going to go ahead and weed it. This is some very simple, this is some of the basic Cricut removable vinyl, and I'm doing removable so that I can just take that off and reuse this. I really like this grid line on the back because then I can cut it out of the bigger piece and keep the line straight so that next time next time I'm cutting something, I can get it onto my mat, and it just keeps it a little bit tidier for my next use. So I'm just going to go ahead and weed this, and I picked this bright fuchsia pink because I just think that's so tropical and so bright and so fun. And you'll see when I get to this edge, I'm actually going to trim these off because I have an edge here that's going to fall over the edge of my wood. So you'll see how I'm going to do this once we get it weeded. And so I'm just going to keep just the outline of the hibiscus, and that's what I'm putting on the wood. So you'll see the outline of the hibiscus in that wood design. I'm just really liking that. Okay, so let's get that on our block of wood, and you'll get to see what that finished piece looks like. I have tried several different transfer tapes, transfer sheets, and this is my favorite. And I will go ahead and link this, all of my materials, if I can find them, in the description below this video, because there are some transfer tapes, papers that I really haven't liked very much. And it's been interesting, when I started using Cricut last year, I just kind of went with whatever was there, and I started seeing that there were some supplies that I felt were easier to use than others. And so it's interesting as you go along that you start to find what you like. And as I watched different YouTubers and talked to different people, I learned that there were certain supplies that I really did prefer over others. And so I've gone ahead and just folded back the top of that transfer paper so that I can just lay it on there. And let me turn this, because what I want to do is get my lineup as best I can using those lines, and then that will help me line it up once I get it onto the block. There. And I feel like I'm getting that pretty straight. And then I can use that tab that I folded and just come through and pull it down, and there you go. All right, and then I'm going to come through with my scraper tool and just really get that down. Boy, I love that color. That just feels so tropical, so summer, and so cheerful. So I'm going to scrape it down on both sides so that it transfers very easily to the transfer tape. And then we'll go ahead onto our wood block. And I'm going to go ahead and keep this sheet here so that I can reuse this transfer tape. Okay, so let's take it off of the sheet. Look at that. Look how easily that comes off. Love this transfer tape. That's one of the ways you can tell if your transfer tape is working the way you want it to, is how easily it comes off. So I want this to hang over the edge and this to hang over the edge, because that's how I designed it, so that it was kind of over the gap. And I just thought that looked interesting and pretty. And then when I look up here, I don't like how the Aloha is positioned on the block. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to place that separately. Now, I wish I had noticed that before I got this far, but it's okay, because we can adjust as we go. Because I'm seeing, I do like how the hibiscus is laying down. And this isn't a in-your-face decoration. I want it subtle, pretty. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm looking as I go to make sure I'm not getting bubbles in the vinyl and that it's down. Yeah, and because this is going down onto wood, I'm probably going to have to scrape it a little more, and maybe even as I bring it up, I might have to work with it. Well, maybe not. And if I bring it up on an angle like this, that usually helps. Okay, that looks, oops, right there. See, some of those little ones, watch as you go, because it's easier to correct as you're going rather than coming back and having to fix it later, although it can be fixed. I like that. It can be repaired as you go. And there we go. I am loving that. Okay, so that's going to go back on the backing so that I can use that again. I really think that is pretty. Okay, now I'm going to just stand this up a little so I can get that Aloha in position. I hope that's about right. Okay, we're going with it. Oops. Now I'm going to try to scrape that down without scraping over here. There we go. Once again, looking to get any bubbles out and get that down on the wood. I was going to do this in white vinyl, but then I didn't have any removable white vinyl. I am out, and I'm trying to really use what I've got on hand. And so I saw this beautiful pink, and actually, oops, I'm really glad that I used this, because I think I'm liking it even better than I would the white, and I love it. I think the girls who are coming to my house will really like that too. That, I think, will be really a fun, easy. I'm going to just push some of these places down that I can see. There was a little over the edge. Fun, easy, and just cheerful little little decoration that we can use for our summer Hawaiian little kickoff event to get to know each other. I have a t-shirt here, and I wanted to do a summer ocean theme. So I went into Cricut Design Space and I created a very fun and easy design to put on the shirt. I have that design cut into my HTV or heat transfer vinyl, iron-on vinyl. Let's go ahead and weed that out. And then we'll go ahead and get my Cricut Easy Press heated up. And it's kind of fun to cut out or to weed this heat transfer vinyl. And it weeds very differently from other adhesive vinyls. And it just has a very different feel. Doing these things with your heat transfer vinyl, I think this has been one of the really fun things that I have enjoyed learning about using with the Cricut. When I cut this with my Cricut, one of the things I did before I took it out of the machine was I went and tested a little part right inside this E and just made sure that it was pulling out easily so that I knew that I could read it. So there we go. Now I notice I've got just a little bit of my vinyl right there. Now I've got to check for those because those will transfer and I'll have those little dots, and I just absolutely don't want those when I go ahead and do the iron-on. So let's get those out of there. Okay, now I'll check one more time, and I'm always checking to make sure I've got everything completely weeded and I've got all the little specks out. Okay, so now I'm going to get my Cricut Easy Press heated up and my my tabletop ironing board laid out, and I'm going to get my lint roller because we need to get things ready to get this ironed onto the shirt. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do then is get my shirt ready. I'm going to lay it out right here. And I want to get it so it's laying straight to me so that when I lay that on there, I can make sure that it is laying straight. And then, oops, then I'm going to use my lint roller. And I just want to get any lint off. Oh, there's my Easy Press ready. But first I'm going to get any lint off of there, making sure I've got that straight. Okay, let's move this over just a little so I can make sure I am seeing this clearly. Okay. Now, I'm gonna put that, oh, I'm really gonna like that in that gray, against the gray. I just think that's really pretty. Now, I think I need to move it over just a little. And I'm looking that my middle is going to be somewhere right there between the A and the E, right around this. And so I think I will let that tag be my guide for mid-range. All right, I think I'm going with that. And I do love that this particular HTV has that sticky back because you can just put it down. And I'm going to take a second and just actually hold it up and see what I think. Okay, I think that's looking just right. I had to take a minute and just really get that figured out because I want it to sit right. And so let's bring over our Easy Press. Now I can see I am going to need to do this in 2 pressings. And so okay, now we're just going to let that cool. So to do that, I'm going to put it over here on my other counter where it's nice and cool. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this here because I would like to do one more press down. You'll see as we pull it up that it's a little bit harsh on that vinyl, and I like to give it a second pressing. Okay, so while we're waiting, we'll just put away our lint roller and some of our other things. Let's see. All right, that's cool to the touch. So I'm just going to start at a corner and let's pull that up very carefully, and it looks like that has laid down really well. All right, I am just going to go through and give that a second pressing. One of the things I really like about the Cricut heat press is that it really heats up quickly and cools down quickly, and it's pretty compact, so it's easy to store right up on my shelf. Okay, so let's do the final peel on that. And yeah, that vinyl has just laid down so nicely. I'm just going to fold that over so it doesn't stick to everything. And there we go. I really like the simplicity of this design. I like the color of that. And I just like the whole summer feel of it. And so there you go. Okay, so for our last project that we'll be doing, I'm just taking a white piece of cardstock and I'm going to create a sheet that the girls can fill out so that I can get to know them a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is use some stamps that I have here. I have a collection of various ones, and I particularly want to use these wooden block stamps that I've had for a very long time. And so what I want to do is actually use them to create little fields on my paper that I can then label as different things that I want the girls to include. And so I'm going to start with a block right up here, of course, for their name. And we're going to have a spot for a photograph and favorite color and all kinds of other things. So what I want to show you here is with these old wooden block stamps, it was very hard and is very hard if we use them as they are to get them to stamp straight. And so those wooden blocks made it so you really couldn't see the page below to see where you were stamping. So what I want to do now is to start using these blocks in a little bit of a different way. And I'm going to pull in my Misty stamping tool and kind of take these old wooden blocks and apply them in a little bit of a newer way where we can better gauge where those stamps are actually going to hit on our paper. So after cleaning the blocks really well, I bring in my Misty stamping tool, but you'll see even the regular sized one is too small for a full sheet of paper. So I'm going to take the stamp off of these wooden blocks. And actually, they pull off pretty easily. If you're having a hard time getting them off, you can heat them with an embossing gun, or you can put them in your microwave for a short time to get them off the block. And then what I'm going to do now is flip my Misty stamping tool around so that I can actually use it on a full sheet of paper because the sheet won't fit inside of the stamping tool. So I'm going to place my paper actually on my surface, and I'm going to tape it down to the surface there. And then I can bring my Misty tool into whatever position I need over that paper. I've positioned now my rubber stamp where I want it to be on the paper, and then I am going to go ahead and open that Misty tool and let the outside of it pick up the rubber stamp. And then you'll notice that with my right hand, I am going to hold that Misty in place. So I'm going to ink it up, get the stamp all inked up and ready. And then I will, with my right hand, once again, hold that Misty firmly in place while I open the door and go ahead and stamp my paper. And if I hold it in place, then I can go ahead and even re-ink and restamp in the exact same place. So I'm going to go ahead and position my larger stamps as I need to on that paper and move my Misty as I need to make sure those stamps get positioned correctly on that full sheet of paper. And I can use the stamp first to go ahead and position it so that I can actually see where it's going. That way I don't have the trouble with those old wooden blocks blocking my view, I just have the stamp off of the block. Now I can go ahead and return the stamp to the block and store it there. And I'm looking at other ways to remove and store these old stamps because I don't need them on the blocks anymore with this handy MISTI tool. And so I'm going to find a way, and I will share that with you in a future video, the things that I've used to make them work more like these acrylic clear stamps. But I'm really liking that I can now see more clearly. I don't have to guess because of that wooden block. I can just put it right on my paper and use my MISTI stamping tool to get all of those stamps done. So now I'm just going to quickly go ahead and show you some of the elements or all of the elements that I added to this Get to Know You page for the girls to fill out. And so I have a spot here for a photo. I used a date stamp to put the month and the year, because what I plan to do is hold these and then give them to the girls at the end of the year, and do one every year for as long as I'm doing this project with the girls. And so I just am going through, and I wanted to add some fun graphics, some squares, some things where they can put information about themselves. So you'll see that some of the smaller stamps, the ones that don't really matter if they're a little bit skewed, those I am just using on the blocks by hand like I always would. But the bigger ones, or the ones that I really want placed correctly, I'm going to go ahead and use my MISTI in the very same way, where I open it up and pick it up off of that big sheet of paper after I have centered it on there. Now you'll also see me using these stencils. If you have watched my bullet journaling videos, you've seen me use these many times. And so we're bringing in not just stamps, but stencils and other things. And here I am drawing an arrow down. This is a spot where I'm going to have the girls put something they don't like. Now, there are some little smudges, some this and that. I'm not too worried about that. When I'm all finished with getting the shapes down, we'll go in and fix those. But you'll see me laying some things out, making a plan, changing my mind, redoing until I have spaces that I already have in mind of things that I'd like the girls to let me know more about them. And this will help us with as we set goals and plan activities to do with these girls, this will help guide us. And so I just get the space filled in and have a nice get to know you sheet. Now what I'm doing, I'm going to go through and add the titles for each space. What is it I want the girls to share about themselves? And some things that besides their name, their favorite color, we're doing favorite desserts. One that part of this page that's really important are any allergies or health concerns that they need noted on here. I'm including their favorite creature, their favorite fruit. The box with the circle down at the bottom, I'd like them to share with me their favorite meal. Most of these girls are between 7 and 10 years old. And so I have a what I want when I grow up space. Our whole goal here is to give them a chance to share some things about themselves so we can get to know them. So on the smudges, you see I've used whiteout to get rid of those. Now I'm going to go ahead and make copies of this in black print, and then we'll use these for our activity. Hope you've enjoyed seeing these projects that we made for our summer Get to Know You activity, and I hope that they'll be a help to you in some way. And so I will be sharing as we prepare for future activities with a theme like this. And so I hope you'll subscribe and join us for all of those things coming up, and we'll see you next time.